Hi class, welcome to this screencast. Today we're going to be talking about putting in a background image into our website. We're going to be creating the home page in this series. Let's take a look at the root directory that we've set up for our website. We have a CSS file folder which is going to hold all of the external CSS that we're going to use. We have an images folder where all of our images will be housed, and we'll have a JavaScript folder. We may add some more folders along the way, but these are our three primary folders located in our root directory. In our images directory, I have the background image. We saved it out as a JPEG. Because it's very graphical in nature, we didn't need any transparency, and it saved out as really good quality. Remember, when saving your images out, you want to save it as File Saved for Web and Devices out of Photoshop. We're going to use this image to hold all of our other elements on our page. So let's come back over to Dreamweaver. We're going to make a new HTML document. And since we're starting this out, let's just title this. Our site is Twin Maple. We're going to insert our metadata, such as keywords and descriptions. So we'll just start with our keywords. This is the things that Google will search for if I was to do a Google search for this site. So we'll type in some quick words here. And there were other metadata that we could add into the site. So we go up to Insert, HTML, Head Tags, and I could put a description. So we put in our basic stuff that we needed up in our head tag. We titled it, we gave it metadata such as keywords and description. I'm going to save this out. I'm going to navigate to my root directory for my website, which is my Twin Maple. Since this is the home page, it's going to be labeled as index.html. Notice I'm working between a split view between code and design. This is a little bit easier for me because I like to see what's going on in the code while working in the design. So we're going to insert our background image. I typically will come over into this insert panel on the side, so if you already don't have this, make sure you pull it up. It makes your life a lot easier when it's off to the side here. So we'll hit Insert Div Tag. And we're going to make this a new CSS rule. We're going to put in the ID because this we can only use once. We can only use the ID as one time. And I'm going to give this a name. The reason I'm going to name it container is because it's going to hold all the rest of my div tags all together. Since I want it to be applied to every single page that I'm going to build, I'm going to put it in a new style sheet file. This is what creates your external CSS. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. It's prompting us to save it, so I'm going to put it in my CSS folder, and I'm going to name it Styles. And now it pops up with all different sorts of CSS rule definitions that we can use and choose from. For this one, it's kind of an oddball. This is the only one in our entire website that's going to have relative positioning. That's because we really don't know how far from the left, how far from the right, or how far from the bottom it's going to be. So we'll go ahead and make it relative. We remember that the size, and we pull the size out of the Photoshop document, is 960 by 1024. It could vary depending on your design, but this is what we've designed at for this particular website. We also want to make it centered. What makes it centered on the page is saying top is 0, auto, auto, and auto. By putting in autos in right top or right, bottom, and left, it's already determining where it's going to be centered on that page. These are the primary things that we have to put in to get that background image centered on our page. So I'm going to hit OK. Make sure it says ID container because you're inserting this particular div tag. As you recall, div is for division. We're always going to use div tags when we're placing our elements on our page. Nothing's in here yet. It's just holding it. If you want to modify this, which in fact we do, we're going to come back over to our CSS styles and we'll say all. You're going to see your external style sheet over here. If you double click on any one of these styles that you want to modify, it brings it back up because we want to have a background image in our div tag since this is our container. So let's browse for it. We'll come into our images folder and we're going to select our background. We don't want it to repeat because then it's going to be tiled. So we want to say no repeat. We don't want to see it. We can hit apply and you can see that in our design view it's showing us that it's already in there, that we placed it in there. So I'll hit OK. We want to delete this text out of here because we don't need it. So I'll save this, and now since it's linked to an external style sheet, we better do save all so that we have both the CSS and the source code. And let's preview this in the browser. You'll notice because we put 0 that there's a little gap there, but this is pretty much up against the toolbar. Then we have this is what made it auto because now it's centered on the page both left and right, and it's figured out how far from the bottom it needs to be. So now we have our background in our website. I'm also going to show you in this screencast how to change this white area to either a background image or a background color. So I come back over into my CSS and in my code view, and I'm going to make a new CSS rule, but in this case I want it to affect the body tag. So I'm going to come down to my properties panel. You'll see CSS. I'm going to say make new CSS rule, and I'm going to edit this rule. I'm going to choose tag because I want it to actually be the body. Say OK. Here's also where I'm going to pick out what font I want my entire page to use, my font size, any font style in particular or color or any decoration can also go in here. The background, we can either add a background image if we want a background image such as the wood to go across, but in this case I just want to change the color. You can select from this panel here, or you can actually take the eyedropper out and pick one of the colors that's in your layout. If you apply, you can see how that color is going to look against it. So if you decide that you don't like it, you can come along and pick out a different color. Again, I'm going to save all, and I'm going to preview in my browser. If it's already open, you just have to hit refresh, and you'll see that your background color changed. So in this screencast, we've learned how to change our background color. We've also added in our very first div tag using external CSS and ID. And this one's your oddball, it's the relative positioning. So keep that in mind as we're continuing to build our site along. In the next screencast, we're going to look at adding div tags within our container. So check out that one. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.